Darren and Sierra, glad to have you hanging out with us on Perfect Game Softball on Perfect Game TV. And Sierra, I think what's fun about this is brand new opportunities. Oh, they're so very different brand new opportunities. But let's start with Bonnie Tholl, because she coached you, a legendary middle infielder at Michigan, and for an entire generation, she was an assistant and an associate head coach to Hutch, Carol Hutchins, the winningest coach of all time. Well, Hutch has stepped aside. It's Bonnie's program now. She'll join us on this show. You played there. You're intimate with this situation.
When I think of who could possibly come in and take over Hutch's position, I really can't think of somebody better than Bonnie. I mean, the love and passion and just everything she brings to Michigan softball as an assistant coach and now head coach, I can't wait to see her take this program and have the free range to do what she wants and take also the things that she learned from Coach Hutch and bring that all into one. I know that she is very close with her athletes, and she cares so much about them as athletes, but as people as well. And I think that that's one thing that Bonnie does so well. She connects with her players on a different level, and her genuine care, love, and support is unmatched, and that it's there, and all you want to do is perform for her and really just try to make her happy, and just all the work she puts in. I just remember playing for her, and just everything she brought to the table, it just made you, the athlete, want to perform better.
Stephanie VanBrakle Prothro is the brand new head coach at Memphis. Last year they pitched to a 5.57 ERA. If you're aware of who she is, for a dozen years, mentoring pitchers at Alabama. You know some of those names, right, folks? You know those trips to the Women's College World Series. She stepped in and is the head coach at Memphis. It feels brand new. It happened at the end of August. There are built-in challenges. It sounds like right away it's roll up the sleeves and get to work.
Definitely. When she comes in as a head coach, and obviously it's a little bit later, you hit the ground running, right? She talks about maybe the individuals that have just started to happen and what that's going to look like moving forward, and really trying to gain these players' trust. That's going to be probably the biggest thing is, she didn't get to recruit these athletes, so she's going to have to really figure out a way to connect with them early on, and make sure that they are ready to go to work and get after it, because I played against her when she was coaching at Alabama, and she's elite. She's tough, and she's going to want to win. So, you're definitely going to want to get your sleeves up, get ready to get to work, and as a Memphis athlete, be excited about the opportunity, because this is a big change in the program to have somebody like her coming from a program like Alabama who's had so much success. I just think that it's going to be huge for these Memphis athletes, and I think that the standard just got a little bit higher.
Throw strikes, make plays. Let's start there. That's what she makes it clear. Throw strikes and make plays. Two brand new journeys in Ann Arbor and on campus at Memphis as well. What a great show. Glad we put this one together. Jim Jenks, what a producer. This is Perfect Game Softball on Perfect Game TV. Here we go. As we talked about on this show, it's coaches with new opportunities, uniquely new opportunities, obviously, but deeply rooted in this sport. And at Memphis, it's the same with Stephanie VanBrakle Prothro, who joins us now. It's funny, Stephanie. First of all, thanks for hanging out with Sierra and I. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's unique, and you know how this goes. I knew it when I was a college baseball player. I know it since I've been covering this sport of softball for more than a decade, that when you jump into a program late in summer, immediately there's great challenges. Let's be optimistic. There are great challenges because this is a great opportunity. But for you, help me understand and help us understand how it came together a little bit later in the summer. Obviously, some changes made at Memphis, and you turned out to be the best choice. Kind of bring your marriage to Memphis to the forefront for us.
Yeah, you're right. It was late, and that was a concern whenever I was just, deciding whether this would be a good move for me or not. But, all the pros outweighed any of those kind of cons. But, they initially called me sometime in July. We did like a Zoom interview. A couple weeks later, they wanted to do it on campus, so I came over for a day or two, spent with them. They offered me the job before I left. I said I needed a couple days, and really that's when the process of just trying to figure out. I had a ton of questions for them, which they answered all of those and more. I mean, I thought about everything I could ask, and from how supportive are you going to be of my family to is a director of ops an option, to just everything you can think of. So it really took me all week to decide whether I wanted to take the opportunity. And as I was just sitting there, thinking and going through the process with my husband and my family, it just became evident that there wasn't much reason why I shouldn't do it. It was a good opportunity. I knew I wanted to be a head coach again, just wasn't sure when. I'm pretty picky when it comes to, my next move. So it had to be a really good fit, especially for me to leave somewhere like Alabama. So I had to feel like I was surrounded by really great people and I'd have an opportunity to do something great here. And it kind of just all fell together that way. So it kind of checked all those boxes. But I did a lot of praying, and, I felt like God was leading me in this direction. And it just, it felt good in my gut. And so I like to rely on that a lot. And it felt good. And I know I have the support of, everybody at Alabama. So that is also helping in the decision, right? When I have that supportive group, from my family to people that I worked with at Alabama to my closest friends, that are all saying, like, we think this is a good move. And then I'm praying about it. Like, there's not much reason why I shouldn't when I'm being led by all those factors.
Coach, if I'm a Memphis athlete, I'm over the moon excited about you getting hired, and just your background at Alabama and all the things you've done and the athletes you've had the opportunity to work with, including working with Coach Murphy as well. What are some things that you are excited to maybe bring from your learning experience at Alabama to the Memphis organization?
Yeah, I hope they're excited. I think it's eye-opening, some of the things that we've done, just setting a standard of what the expectation here is, right? So, words that we like to talk about all the time are, I want it to be a family atmosphere, or we want to be blue collar, things like that. Well, what does that look like? Because my version of working hard looks different than yours. But here we have 18 to 21 athletes trying to pursue something together. So we all need to have some common language. And I think that's the great thing about being in Alabama, like playing there and, coaching there, is that I know what the culture is. I was a part of building that. So I bring a lot of knowledge of the standards and the expectations and the kind of culture that we want to have to this program. So just being able to implement that becomes part of the challenge of setting that new standard. And I think it's important for me and the staff to have that common language. We're all saying the same stuff, and this is our expectation, and we hold them to it. I think as far as people that I've gotten to pitch with Montana Fouts, who is probably the hardest worker that we've had pitcher-wise at Alabama, and gotten to be around people like Bailey Hempfield, really elite athletes that know what it takes and that are internally driven to be great. I think those are all experiences that I can pull from and help say, you guys see these people on TV and you think it just happens. It doesn't work like that. There's things that go into place that's why they're great. They're not just great because they woke up that day and said, I'm going to be great today. There's a process that nobody sees. And that's the beauty of our sport, is that there is a process like that. So you can literally set it up however you want. I can be as great as I want to be because I get to set that, determination of how hard I'm going to work, and how much of a learner do I want to be, and how bought in do I want to be with this. And that's all in your, for you to decide as a player. It's just our job to bring that to you. Here are the tools. Here I am as a coach. Let me get better. Let me help. Let's grow together, and let's figure it out. That's what I love about coaching, is let's figure out how to make you great.
Oh man, Coach, I just got done with my season, but now I'm ready to go play again. I thought I was ready to just kind of chill for a little bit, but now I'm like, okay, let's go practice. Talking transitions, going from an assistant coach to a head coach. I know you've been one before. What does that transition look like?
Yeah, well, I am needed a lot more in a lot of different areas. I feel like it's managing everybody. Definitely managing a group of people, and not just, I just worry about the pitchers today. But I think that at Alabama, Murph gave us great flexibility and being able to help in different avenues and different things with the program, and gave us some leeway with that. So I feel like I've gotten some, to learn a lot from him and from Allie, just from being at Alabama and really being in some of those meetings to learn this is what we should do from a social media standpoint, and this is what we should do from the ticketing and fundraising and booster club and all the other things that, the head coach needs to think about as we're trying to guide this program in the right direction.
It's very cool in the article that was written about you, and it's so neat when you see it. It's almost like the new version of LinkedIn, where you see it on LinkedIn, but the endorsements that you received, and you got the job 5 minutes ago. I think it's very cool with Beth Turina and Coach Perry at Illinois, Coach Walton, Coach Weekly, who we've had on the show, and of course Murph. He better endorse you.
Yeah.
How much does that mean to you when you look down at those names? And they're your colleagues, right? They're your colleagues. You've been at World Series with these coaches. You've probably spent time away from the field with all these coaches. But then they put down in writing, all of them, very positive things about you and how deserving you are of this opportunity. When you step back for only a moment, how much does that mean?
Well, it means a lot, and I was blown away, just like, I'm sure you guys were, like, reading it, like, wow, I never thought, you just never know what somebody else, like, I know what Murph and Allie and my people think, but, your opponents that you play all the time, like, what they think about you. So I'm extremely humbled and grateful that, they had those great things to say, and, I really think a lot of all of them. So that's why part of the reason why I asked them is that I think a lot about them as people and as coaches. So to see them say those things was just very, very heartwarming and humbling for me.
So I look and I see from the stats and the possible returnees. I know we're heading into fall now, but I see Hallie, and correct me if I get any of them wrong, Hallie Seams and Michaela Hoshak and Zoe Lecomte, who did a nice pronunciation of her name on the site. And Jenna Gibson. I see them, a couple of sophomores, a junior and a senior as possible returnees. You're a pitching mind. That's what you do. You do it oh so very well. As you look at your pitchers, let's talk optimism. What kind of potential do you see?
We just started individuals yesterday, so I did get to see them a little bit. I think there is some untouched talent and some opportunity there. It's going to be a lot of work though. So we got lots of cleaning up to do mechanically wise, and just how we're trying to attack hitters and attack our plan as pitchers and the expectation. Because, just like at Alabama, I'm going to have a lot of expectation here for the pitchers. And, they're the only people with the circle around them, and they have to be the hardest workers. I firmly believe that. I think that they need to work the hardest, and everybody needs to see them doing that. And I think that's how you get those people that are behind you, the 8 behind you, to want to play hard. Like, I want to play hard for her because she works, and I know she's putting in the work, so I need to follow suit. But I think there's some good opportunity there. Just going to take a lot of work to get it, and I think if they just buy in, that they can be so much better. And just, if you look at their stats, let's just clean up their walks and free bases, for example. Like, we can't have so many walks, hit by pitches. Those lead into extra opportunities for hitters. So cleaning up small things that we can control will be like the first big step in our pitching approach.
Coach, you talk about buying in and being all in, and I know how important that is, especially, you coming in as the new head coach. How do we get that going within the team, especially since, you just started the individuals, and just trying to get that going sooner rather than later?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've been on the phone with Jeff Jansen and his culture building people about getting them down here for us to help set up some common language of words and terms so that the team can hear what I think hard work looks like, what I think the standard should be, and we put that on paper. I just think it's important. I really like some of the team building culture aspects that he brings, that he's done. He worked with us a little bit at Alabama too. So, setting that up and having that common, language is the first step. And then the second is us doing team building, team activities. I think there's a layer of trust there that needs to be set. So getting them to trust us and vice versa, I think is the first kind of steps into getting that buy-in process. And also, I didn't recruit any of them, so they don't know me. I didn't get to have this conversation with them before they came about I'm going to make you the best you can be on and off the field, and I give you that whole recruiting speech. I didn't get to do that because I didn't recruit them. So there's that trust there too. I didn't build that relationship prior, so building relationships is also a part of buying in and building that trust, which I think that me and the staff we'll all be doing over the next couple months.
Have you built that staff?
Yes.
And quickly introduce us to your lieutenants.
Yes. So our second assistant, she'll be over the hitters. It'll be DJ Sanders. She comes from great pedigree. Really heard nothing but great things about her. She obviously was a volunteer at Mississippi State previously. And then our other assistant will be Tommy Santiago. He was at South Florida last year, but his wife's family is in Chattanooga, so they wanted to get back closer. So it kind of worked out. He kind of came out of like left field. I had looked at some other people, and all of a sudden I got this call from him. And he's got good things on his resume. He's worked for some really great coaches with Kenny, Lonnie, Courtney. So comes with great experience, and first and foremost, they're great people, which is what I want to be surrounded with. So they're gonna treat the athletes with respect. They're gonna be great people to be around, and so that was the first and most important thing I was looking for when I was trying to hire.
How hard is it going to be to delegate? How challenging is that? I know there's only so many hours in the day. I get that.
Yes.
But this is your baby. This is you. How is that going to be a challenge a little bit?
It's already a challenge. So I'm trying to keep my finger on just about everything because I want it done a certain way, and so it'll be learning for me to kind of let go a little bit and trust. But I hired great people that are good at their jobs, so I need to trust that they're going to do it. But I think collectively we'll work well together, and so as long as I know what's going on, I want to feel like a part of it, and that way I can have my 2 cents if it's needed or wanted, and then we can kind of go from there.
Stephanie, this is great. Thanks for connecting with Sierra and I. We're very excited. We look forward to reconnecting. It's going to be a much different year. The Memphis athletes are in for a wake-up call. It's going to be great.
Yes, they are.
We really appreciate it. Exciting things at Memphis. When we come back, another conversation with a brand new head coach in a way. It's Michigan. It's completely different, actually, if you think about it. But we'll go up north, and we'll continue. This is Perfect Game Softball on Perfect Game TV. So as we talked about, the situation very different in Michigan than it is in Memphis. There is a familiarity that Bonnie Tholl has because she spent a majority of her adult life leading young women to success at Michigan. Now it's her program as Hutch steps aside and Bonnie spends time with us now. Thank you, Bonnie, for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Well, looking forward to having a great conversation with both of you.
As this came together through the late spring into the summer, and you kind of reflected on your journey there. There's so much familiarity. You hosted our media team there earlier this year. I got to witness it. But as this came together, kind of share your feelings, your thoughts, your reflections as you stepped into this role.
Well, of course it's an exciting time, but at the same time, there was a different emotion because, losing Hutch from the coaching ranks, and of course she'll be a coach forever. But, our softball world looks at Hutch as an institution, right? And so I think myself and our staff and our program, we had to deal with that emotion of losing our captain and then have to shift gears and get ready to take on the new role as the leader as opposed to the doer. And so we've been making a pretty smooth transition, but I feel very comfortable that I'm going to have a good resource right next to me in Coach Hutch forever.
Well, Bonnie, you talk about, losing a leader, but I can't think of a better leader to take her place and somebody who's gotten to be with her for so long. Obviously, I got to play for you. I'm showing a little favoritism right now. Just had to put that out there.
I love
it. But when it was announced, I was so excited, but I couldn't think of anybody better. To me, it just seems like a smooth, effortless transition. I mean, you are Michigan softball to me and to so many other people, and the energy that you bring and the knowledge you bring. I was telling Daron earlier just about how if you wanted something done, you're so athletic and knowledgeable that you would actually go out there and do it and show us on defense or whatever it might be. You could pick up a bat even if you haven't swung in forever and you would just get it done on the first swing. You're still an athlete, and so I just think that's really cool to have in a coach. And what are maybe some things you're going to take from what you've learned from Hutch throughout all the years coaching alongside of her?
Sure. The mission is going to remain the same. And the values that we have built in this program, they're going to remain. That's the foundation of this culture. Michigan softball has had a strong, rock-solid culture for a very long time. And I've been privileged to sit shotgun to a great leader who has built it and has taught us everything we know about loving Michigan softball and loving the kids you coach. And so those things aren't ever going to change. The fact that we provide experiences that are powerful and lasting for young people, that's the most important things that we do. And to get a chance to be a part of their stage of growing independence and really developing as young people, that's going to remain. And we're going to keep the main thing, which is always the student athletes. And yes, there are going to be some subtle differences, things that are going to be uniquely Bonnie as opposed to Hutch. And I've said this is not really just about me as a leader. I look at it as, I'm here to serve Michigan softball and to serve this university and to serve the people who are in the program. And at the same time, I'm going to ask those student athletes to help serve Michigan. And it's not just about what can I get from this Michigan experience, but what can I give to this Michigan experience? And that starts all the way from the managers all the way up to the head coach and everybody in between.
So after speaking now about your position, you have to talk a little bit about the addition of Chitty. I gotta know, when did that happen? How did that happen? When it was announced, I had no idea, and I was so excited. Obviously Chitty just finished her career and is officially retired. Can't believe that she's done, but hey, she ended with the home run, so that's very Chitty of her to do. But when I saw that she got the position now with Michigan, I just was like, this is such a full circle moment for her. Can you just kind of talk about how that came?
Sure, and Chitty ended her illustrious career in dramatic fashion, as only Chitty can. I did not mean to be a distraction to her as she entered her very last weekend of her playing career. But as it turned out, I did call her just on the Thursday before the final weekend. And I knew that it was a good sign because I don't typically cold call people, but I cold called her and she picked up. And when she picked up, my initial thought was, this is a good sign. This means that she has possibly been anticipating this call. She's excited for an opportunity, and it is my opportunity to bring her back home. And so I told her, after she gets done playing, why don't you come up to Ann Arbor before you head back home out to Utah and get a chance to spend time with each other. Well, we got her to Campus Romo, and she hasn't left since. And so I told her, we successfully recruited you twice. And what Amanda Chittister brings is, as you've seen on the ball field for years, is that incredible, unmatched passion. And, it seeps out of every pore of her body. And the fact that she wants her student athletes or the people that she comes in contact with to have the same kind of success that she has had. She's so willing to share that. And, she's going to help to elevate our offense. And with her knowledge and just her system. And then it's going to help in other areas, right? She's a great defender as well. And we're going to get a chance to turn some heads in the recruiting world. And because she truly believes in this Michigan experience, she truly believes in the power of elevating people to the next level in doing it with an incredible amount of energy and passion.
Loving this conversation. You said something that I didn't want to let pass because I thought it was very well placed and well put. You used the phrase uniquely Bonnie. What are some of those things that you might say that may not be able to be defined as of yet, things that are uniquely Bonnie, but maybe that has been thought about? Can you give us some examples?
Well, I think that I'm really consistent. I think that's what the student athletes that I've coached over the years would probably point to, that, I'm even keel, I'm consistent, I'm detailed. I absolutely love Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I love the University of Michigan. The impact that it has had on my life and on my family's life is immeasurable. So it's easy for me to sell a belief system. And I'm not just here when I bring people into the program, whether it's assistant coaches or other staff members or recruits. This is not just about what we have in selling a product. It's really, to me, selling a belief system. And if you believe in something wholeheartedly, then you share it, and then it becomes a part of you. And that's what I hope to do. And that to me is, I don't know if I'm unique in that sense, but I know that I have to be authentic, and that's what I believe, and that's what I'll bring to this group as their leader.
Yeah, it's a wonderful phrase. I loved it. I loved it because as someone who is replacing a legend, there's only one way to do it confidently and with the endorsement of the legend, right? You go both ways, and then embracing who you are, and that's why I thought it was just such a cool phrase. 300 innings in the circle to be replaced, and that's not always a bad thing. And again, replacing legends, that's what's going to happen in the circle. As you start to kind of think and talk about your pitching, I always like to be optimistic on this show. How exciting is it? Alex has transferred, Megan has had her amazing time come to an end, obviously, but how exciting is it to open the door for brand new opportunities, just like Sierra had, just like you had many years ago?
Sure, and we have 21 players on the roster, and 9 of those 21 are newcomers. 6 are freshmen, 2 are graduate transfers, and 1 is a transfer. And so it seems rather daunting that we would graduate so many innings pitched. But we're pretty excited about, in particular, our sophomores coming up. Lauren Dorkowski, she made incredible progress this summer with some of her training, and Coach Brundage has seen that in the bullpen already. We have some experience in the graduate transfer, Hannah George, and I think that with the young and old, it's going to be quite helpful. And then, of course, Jess Lebeau, who comes to us from Kent State, who had an incredible summer campaign in the Florida Gulf Coast League. She's done an outstanding job, and Jen just sent me a message last night and said she's going to be really good, and she's really aware of her body movements, and so it's kind of an excitement. And they're working with arguably the best pitching coach in the country. Nobody at their school has produced, that is currently coaching, more All-American pitchers than Jen Brundage. And it's a fact that we've researched, and she's methodical. She's so good at what she does, and I'm excited that these young athletes, both young and old, I guess, in the bullpen are able to work with her on a daily basis so closely.
I'm excited for these Michigan athletes, ones who are returning, ones who are new, just because I feel like that Michigan environment, you just can't help but, it pulls the best out of you. I know that when I was there each and every year, I was constantly trying to become better and better, and whether it's the coaching staff, the athletes around you, the fans, and just the environment that Ann Arbor provides, I just feel like that's something that is so different and unique. So I'm excited for these athletes, and I look forward to coming out and watching some games and seeing the new head coach in action. But if you could you give us a little bit of insight into Team 46 and what you're seeing from them so far, and what you've seen in individuals so far?
Sure. I think what we are seeing is a very experienced and mature senior class. And they've been through a lot. Many of them have had a lot of playing time, and many of them have not had a lot of playing time. So it's a really good blend, because they're at heart really good quality people who want just what is best for Michigan softball. And I think that's a perfect place, a perfect launching spot. And to give you an example, I tasked those seniors and upperclassmen, knowing that we had so many newcomers this year, with creating a newcomer manual. And not only did they create a newcomer manual that included so much about our culture and how we act every day, how we behave, how we compete, how we study, they decided that they wanted to present it to the newcomers and even the underclassmen on their own time. They wanted to go ahead and take control of that and take ownership because they wanted to set the tone, because they felt that they had the program knowledge and the program passion to be able to communicate what was important. And sometimes you understand as a player and a student athlete that oftentimes it's more powerful when it comes from your peers. And when your peers are suggesting something, then your ears are really open to it. And so that's just an example of the type of leaders that I have in the program. So we're going to build off that ownership piece. I told them that they're going to be accountable and own their own success. And we're going to, as coaches, help guide them in that direction, but it's up to them to continue to work hard, to be accountable to each other, to be committed to each other and to the process. And I think that's what we're hitting home, is that big ownership piece and giving them, empowering them with that ownership.
So you might have already kind of answered my next question in a sense, but if you could maybe elaborate a little bit more, because I feel like what you talk about with that maturity with your senior class, we talk about a lot. I mean, I know when I was in school and still to this day, you guys still talk about being a Michigan woman and what that means. And I feel like that example you just gave, that is part of being a Michigan woman and taking that ownership and that responsibility of, I want to take these underclassmen and put them under my wing and really help them, so then that way when I'm gone, Michigan softball still continues and there's no stop to it. But if you could maybe just elaborate a little bit more, just so people can kind of get that feeling of what Michigan softball and what being a Michigan woman is, because I mean, I proudly say all the time that I'm a Michigan woman, and it is the reason why I am who I am and the things that I've done, because of the fundamentals and the life skills that Michigan taught me my 4 years.
Well, we have pillars, right? Pillars of the program. And a couple of our pillars are, you always protect and defend the Block M. And it means that we're always representing each other in this university, in this program. And how do you want to be represented as an alumni? And it's up to the student athletes now. And so, you don't go to school here for 4 years. You go to school and you go to Michigan for life. That's what we really believe. You're in this program for life. And like it or not, Hutch, myself, Jen, and the rest of the staff will be a part of your lives forever. And we feel that it's a privilege. And so, but part of that privilege for our student athletes is that you do protect that Block M. That we always are constantly building our culture. And to us, culture is not just a noun. Culture is a verb. It means that you have to constantly work it. You have to constantly take care of it. And it's a role that so many of our student athletes have gladly accepted, and they carry with a badge of honor. And the other thing is, we say, and it's a mantra, is that you always leave the program better than you found it. So when you came in as a freshman in 2013, you understood that responsibility. The responsibility not just to your current teammates, but a responsibility to the program, to those who came before you, and for those who will come after you. That, and it's not always measured, leaving the program better than you found it, in championships won or number of wins and losses. It's really about how you grow up as a person. And that's really how you honor this experience and how you honor this program, because we may not even know the success of Sierra Romero immediately after she graduates, but in 20 and 25 years down the road, like, what impact have you made on your family, and what impact have you made on your community? And that's really what's most meaningful to us.
Thank you, Bonnie. Congratulations. We're excited to see what's next in Michigan.
Well, I appreciate the time, and it's been wonderful having a conversation, and hopefully the best is yet to come.
Go Blue.
I figured you'd throw that in there. Brand new journeys at Michigan and Memphis. Great show. We'll see you next week on Perfect Game Softball and Perfect Game TV.